Hello, ladies and gents. Hope you're well. Hope you had a fantastic week so far. This week, I wanted to share an interview I did with Pierre talking about all things customer service, why it's important, how it can increase your revenue, why it's so important, even though we are potentially, even though quote unquote we miss a recession, but it's going to be an interesting period in the economy anyway. So I'm now going to hand over to Pierre to talk a little bit more about why it's all important and why we need to care about customer service in general.
Hi everyone, well I'm Pierre, founder of Beyond Satisfaction. I'm a customer service expert and trainer. I'm helping businesses to improve their customer experience to the next level. The way I do that, I look at the whole customer journey and what are all the opportunities of improvement to make the best impact on the business growth. So I either help my clients with coaching or I either provide training courses to the businesses who would like their team to improve their customer service skills and abilities. So that's me in a nutshell.
Thank you so much for the time. And, the reason why I want to bring you on, because everyone asks me, like, why do you choose the guests you choose, etc., etc., is because I think the economic reality that we're finding ourselves in at the time of recording is one where I think actually, customer service is always something you should be looking at, and or client service, or etc., your how you operate or how you talk to your clients or the people you serve. It's always something that should be important, but especially in a time where there's slightly economic pressure or there's slightly economic challenges, it's actually, I would say, even more important, right? And I think it's something which people sometimes maybe overlook, or sometimes, is it just people you serve, like service-based industries like hospitality, etc., or do you help people as well with their client acquisition and their client side of things as well?
Well, actually, funny enough, the service-based industry represents the smallest percentage of my clients. So it only proves how much customer service is something that every businesses have in common. So no, it's definitely something that every business needs to be focusing on. And there is some basics when it comes to customer expectation, putting yourself in the client's perspective, understanding, knowing, and managing effectively the customer journey, following up with your former clients or having a better impact on your clients when you're selling to them to increase your conversions or customer retention. All those things are kind of similar to any types of businesses. They're just only applicable to the business itself. So yeah.
With that being said, do you see common traits or common issues that people run into when it comes to their client? Maybe a misstep or because to give you some context, a lot of people who listen to this podcast and a lot of people who consume this content are starting out entrepreneurs. They're people who have maybe been in business a year, maybe a year and a half, or less. They're people who are really starting to get their teeth into, okay, well, I need to run this business. I need to make sure it's profitable. I need to make sure it works. But for me, putting the customer or the client at the center of what you do is the most important thing. And I had quickly before you answer, I had a lovely one-to-one earlier today at the time of recording, and we were talking about value pricing versus time pricing. And I think for me, value pricing actually is exactly why you should put your customer at the center of what you do, because in the nicest way possible, clients don't care how long it takes you. They don't. It's not important information. If I'm hiring you to do a job, I don't really mind or don't really care how long it took you to do. I'm paying you for the outcome. I'm paying you for the value. So just to reiterate the question, do you see there's like common footfalls or things that people need to potentially look out for, or to say, oh, these are quick fixes that people can do that maybe hear this and go, I am doing those things when it comes to customer service or client service?
Actually, that's an interesting one, because when you talk about the outcome, the funny thing with customer service, and the number one thing that businesses may omit, is that if they only focus on the outcome when it comes to customer service, that's where they may have problems and where the clients may be dissatisfied by the overall service provided to them. Because the way I compare customer service is with an iceberg, where you only see the image part, where there's so many things under the water that keeps the iceberg floating and keeping your customer service consistent. So in order for a business to have the outcome positive on the client's perspective, you need to have all the mechanism in place internally where the client do not see, so it makes the best impact on them. For example, a client wouldn't care how long things takes, etc., etc. That's especially why you need to make sure that everything is in place, so the client doesn't have to be dissatisfied with that. So it can be from your procedures when you take a client's inquiry, how you're delivering your offer, how you manage your business internally when you have a higher number of inquiries and you may be overwhelmed by it. how you manage the clientele's expectation, how do you analyze it, what do you do beforehand, etc., etc. So all those things are things that may not be visible by the client, but that will make an impact on them. So that's the first thing to understand. That's why, for example, every time I go to a cafe, that's the quote I like to use, is that every time I go to a cafe, if I see a very rude waiter or waitress, I'm always telling myself, well, this person may be rude because of something that's happening internally, maybe bad lack of support, lack of positive working environment, lack of management, leadership. So all those things, they're not related to customer service, but they make an impact to customer service. So sometimes it's a little bit, when I think it's like so many businesses, when they have coming clients, they have more reactive clients than proactive clients. And sometimes when you come to me with a problem, actually the problem that the clients think they are having is not the real problem. That's part of the problem, but there's something else beforehand. So you have to dig in to kind of find out what it is. So yeah.
Well, yeah, some you know, and I mean, it kind of bridges off the conversation that we have a lot with clients, which is, you know, everyone comes to me and goes, "I want more clients, I want more revenue, I want to make more money." Okay, great, fantastic. If there was a simple answer to that, that would be very, very wealthy. The reality for a lot of businesses is there's a couple of factors that go involved in that, and we can go into that if we want to, but the crux is actually understanding what's below that, because everyone wants more clients, everyone wants more customers, everyone wants more, etc. The question is, how are you going to get it? How are you going to do that? Is there people in your network or in your outer circle that could actually become clients if you just do a couple of different things, or maybe touch base with them a couple of bits, or maybe the content isn't right, or maybe they don't, what's the hurdle stopping them from working with you potentially, right? Because, and I did a marketing talk about 6 months ago that was talking about why marketing is perceived as a soft budget in regards to like what people spend it and how people spend on it. And the crux of what it is because the results and the KPIs or the key performance indicators aren't there, right? And they're not actually performing, and it's not doing the job. Because if your marketing, you believed was, or you could see was doing the job that you needed it to do, you wouldn't even consider it as something you can cut, because it's doing the job you need to do. In the same way, if your training is providing enough value to a business, and you know it is providing value because you can see a legitimate return on investment, e.g. the retained customers or the customers that are regulars are a lot happier and they're spending more money by proxy, and etc., then that's a tangible increase in revenue. Now, for a cafe, that might be a couple of quid a day, but actually across a year, how much money is that, right? Suddenly it adds up quite quickly, especially if the person's coming daily, right? Or, you know, maybe how much, if you go the other way, how much does that conversation, or how much does that issue, or how much does that, you know, talk about rude staffers or servers, how much does that cost someone as a business if they do change their provider for their coffee in the morning, for example, something simple, right? And, you know, I came from retail work, and a really quick example and something that I really, really valued in that was a fix it now principle when I was at Greg's. And it kind of removed this concept of having to go and talk to a manager, right? The classic, oh, the customer's upset, let me go ask my manager if I can do this. No, there wasn't that. I could fix it there and then. Because the thing is, and again, the customers value their time, right? When I go to Greg's, or other establishments are available, right, I'm there because I want to get something to eat quickly and then get on with what I've got to do, right? So, I mean, in some ways in your training, have you found that adding principles and things like that in can be really valuable? And if so, what are the hurdles stopping an organization, or stopping a client, or stopping your client or an organization in doing that, would you say? Or something like that. It doesn't have to be that principle specifically, but something like that that's going to quickly speed up a process or a solution.
I think is most part of the time is reminder on all the very basics when it comes to customer relationship, customer care, etc., etc. For example, I'm delivering a training this week. I'm going to give them a very quick tool of how to deal with difficult or complaining clients. And this tool is very simple. It's 5 steps. When you have a difficult or complaining client, what is your ability to empathize, to listen, to resolve, and to do it now. That's 4 steps that are very, very, very important. But if you don't listen, if you don't empathize, if you don't try to resolve it now, and again, even if it's passing it on to your manager, that's fine. I mean, if you have to pass it on to your manager because you don't have the responsibility to do it, that's fine. But there's still something you can show the client that you are doing. And I think it's sometimes this ability to to just be in charge and take accountability when you're doing something. So for instance, this same method I teach during my training courses, how to deal with difficult or complaining clients. Another one is a little bit more in depth. I'm not going to go through all the steps, but there's two that are very, very interesting. Is first of all your ability to take control of the situation and to build the trust from the client that you are able to take control on the situation. Kind of be assertive. You have to be assertive. Like sometimes that's what the clients wants to see. They are unhappy. They want to be listened to. They want to go into a confrontation, but they want you to not only to find a solution, but to show them you have the ability in finding a solution. So whatever it is, whatever is the complaint, sometimes it's not only about the outcome and the solution, but it's more about the ability of the person in front of the client to generate this trust from the client that they will be sorting out the issue. Even if it's not now, they can be saying, I totally understand your query. I understand why you're frustrated. I took all the information necessary. Let me take this, move this forward with my manager, and you can be sure that we will be coming back to you shortly. In the meantime, I am at your disposal with any questions, and if there's anything I can do at the moment to make your experience happier, I'll be there to help you out. You see, right now, just with this sentence, the person hasn't solved the problem, but they've created trust in the clients, in their ability to bring a solution moving forward, and they've been assertive enough. And most of all, they know their stuff. They know their stuff. They don't know how to bring a solution to the problems right now, but they know their stuff in the ability of following up to bring a solution moving forward. So yeah, the other thing as well that sometimes, to answer what you said at the beginning, what people don't realize as well, mainly business owners and businesses in general, is that when you're in a race of getting business, the goal shouldn't only be to be able to get more business, but to ask yourself how my business will be dealing with that much more inquiries daily, weekly, monthly, how my business will be dealing in terms of customer service, clientele satisfaction, when it will grow and I will have more business, because actually that's where business growth, success can even become a threat to your business if you're not prepared to deal with all those inquiries and still be consistent. And I have a lot of clients like this that sometimes just are kind of overwhelmed. They're really happy to get that much business, but they don't deal with it with the same consistency, and therefore there's not the same clientele satisfaction. So yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a scaling problem, right? And something that, just as you were talking about, the first point that jumped to mind was actually sometimes owning up to the mistake, if there was one made, is actually the best thing you can do, because it says that you're going to take accountability and firstly say, yes, that was a mistake. Yes, that's what I did wrong. And this is not just true in business. This is true in any relationship build of any kind, personally, professionally, etc. Actually saying, hey, look, hands up, I made a mistake here. Actually, I'm human. I made a mistake. Actually, yeah, I can't change what I've done. I can't change what's happened. But what I can do is say, okay, I'm going to learn from that. I'm going to build. I'm going to develop. I'm going to change. And I think for me, it's, especially in a client context, it's about making that client feel at ease. Making that client, at the end of the day, why are they hiring you to do whatever you're being hired to do, right? Because they either don't have the technical understanding or the ability to do it, or they don't have the time or the resources, right? So they're going to give you money in exchange for you doing it, because either you can do it to a better service or you can do it where they're not having to trade time for it. And I think for me, that's where it's important to take accountability, and that's where it's important to say, actually, yeah, sometimes it is going to go wrong. Actually, yeah, sometimes it is, because look, the reality of the fact is, video production is an example, but the same is true across all the board. Things are going to go wrong. The question is, how do you handle when it goes wrong, right? How do you handle, a common one right now? I'm sure you found it. I'm sure everyone else listening has found it. Cash flow is a concern for a lot of businesses right now because of the economic tightening we're finding. Okay, so how are you going about the debts you have? How are you going about, firstly, tackling the debts that you may have, e.g. money that is income for you? But also, how are you going about challenging the bills you have to pay? Okay, if there's some you can't, how are you handling that? Are you talking to the people you owe money to and be like, look, I would love to pay you, but I can't right now. And it's likely I will be able to in 2 weeks, or likely I'll be able to you in a week or a month, or whatever it may be. And creating that action plan, and then looking at, okay, what can I control and what can I do today that actually mean it's more likely I'm either going to get more work, which in turn will mean more generation of money, or is it likely I'm going to get those bills? And I think sometimes we aren't as open and honest as we sometimes hope we should be. especially when there's a stressful situation. I mean, from your perspective, why does someone default? Because surely by proxy we should default to, if you made a mistake, you say, I'm going to make a mistake, right? Or if the company, the organization, takes ownership over that issue, that's always going to be a better outcome, right? But sometimes I think, not pointing out anyone in specific, but servers or clients or business owners, they sometimes try to wiggle their way out of it, I guess would be the best term. And why do you think we do that? Because surely that's counterintuitive, right?
I think it's the simple idea that business owners, businesses, employees in general, they see either a complaint or a mistake visible by the client as a threat to the business. Well, actually, it's not. I'll be lying to you if I'll be telling you right now that customer service is about making all your clients happy and living in a fairy tale. That's not the case at all. First of all, the first reason why you wouldn't be able to make all your clients happy is because whatever you do, even if by whatever miracle you're able to be perfect, which is not existent because everybody makes mistake, everybody does, you still are going to have clients that are difficult, that are not satisfied whatever you do. So we're not living in this ideal world. Sometimes customer service is about taking an opportunity of a mistake of a complaining client to get better out of it. So turn a threat into an opportunity, turn a weakness into a strength. So, I mean, let me tell you that something very simple. During my career in hospitality in 10 years, my most loyal clients were former complainers. Let's say there's some industries you're more likely to have complaining clients than others. And I accepted that. I work in events, very big conferences, very big weddings, back-to-backs, etc., etc. This increases the chance of having complaining clients. Statistically, it does, because you have more activity, you have more things to deal with, you do long hours, you have more responsibility, so it's increasing. And they're paying a high amount. So when they pay a high amount, the expectation goes like on the same line than the amount they pay. So it was quite more likely to have complaining clients, whatever you do. And it was a 5-star establishments I was working for. But I knew how to take this opportunity to actually show care. Once you have a complaining client, that is the best opportunity as an employee, a business owner, or a business to show genuine care. You're complaining, you're not happy. Let me handle it. Let me show you what we can do as a business to not only make it up, not only make you happy, but even go beyond that, bring you even more value added. And next time you're coming, we're not the same, we're better, and we're not only better for that specific clients, we're better for other clients. So a complaining clients or a mistake is not only an opportunity for these clients, it's an opportunity for all other clients. Once a business owner asked me, I would like you to help me improving my feedback method. So when a complaining client comes to me, he or she is not unhappy anymore. And I say to this person, well, actually, the feedback method you put in place will not help you to do that. It's your action you will do after. And more than that, it will not only help you to make this client happy, it will help you to make other clients happy, because it's a tool of improvement. You want to know, actually, it's a good thing. You want to know from your clients what went wrong. So you should be happy when a client is complaining. Because it's an opportunity to not have complaining clients again in the future for the similar problem.
Yeah, and it goes with any growth, right? Because we obviously deal with this a lot when we have clients grow and etc. And I always say to them, well, if you're standing still, you're not growing, right? And this is the same thing. If you're not taking feedback on board, and actually, I would argue if you're not getting feedback, you're actually not potentially pushing hard enough, right? You're playing it very safe. You're not doing anything that's out of the box, right? Sometimes we'll do stuff with marketing. It will go, actually, this didn't work. Right? Actually, this didn't work. Okay, why didn't it work? Right? Okay, let's now explore that. Let's see how can we learn? How can we gain data? How can we gain understanding from this reality where it didn't work? Okay, but maybe we slightly tweak it and then it will work, right? And I think it's all about perspective, and it's all about understanding that you can either see the opportunity of getting constructive criticism, and there's a difference, right, between someone just saying "F this," you've ruined my holiday, you've ruined this, whatever, and then saying, actually, guys, it was really nice until this point, but then this happened. what can we do to fix it, right? That should always be the answer. It's what can we do to fix it next time? Whether that's for that person, because sometimes these things are deal breakers and this person is like, nope, bye, that's it, I'm never working or seeing you again. But also, if they do give you a second chance, how are you going to do that better? How are you going to do it better, etc.? Because especially in a professional context, the same is true personally, but especially in a professional context, you need to set expectations that are relevant and are actually likely, because it's always better to have expectations that are lower, that then you can over deliver, than the other way around. Because if you're in a position where the other way around, you're always going to be on your back foot. You're always going to be, oh well, we didn't do this, and that's not to say that maybe you didn't get, sometimes we've fired clients before. Why have we done that? Because they aren't giving us what we need to do the job that we were hired to do, to the quality that they want us to do it to. Right? It's a partnership. When you work with someone and when you serve someone in this way, it's a partnership. It requires certain things, right? In our context, it might be a pre-production meeting, a time to talk about the project, to talk about the vision, to talk about this. In the same way here, in this conversation, it requires you to listen to me. It requires me to listen to you, but it also requires me to articulate points and you to articulate points, right? It's a balance. It's not just me, not just you. And I think sometimes in business, we sometimes look at it a little bit too one-sided. And I don't mean don't put the client at the center of what you do. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is understand that sometimes people, clients specifically, are not necessarily the right people for you. Now, in the hospitality world or in an establishment where someone's going to walk through the door, that's a bit harder. But when you are in a service-based industry where you choose your clients and it's a mutual beneficial agreement, you can be a bit more picky in some ways, and I think you should always, let me ask you, do you think people should be picky because look, we're in a recession or we're in an economy which is maybe slightly more dicey, or slightly harder to get work, but should people still be picky with their clients or just take the work they can get? Do you think?
At the end of the day, being picky doesn't mean that out of 10 clients, you're going to say no to 6 of them. Most part of the time, statistically, when you're being picky, it may be 1 out of 20, if not less. But this 1 out of 20, let's take it in an objective way. Okay, you get less income at the end of the month without this client. But if this client takes so much of your time, your energy at the expense of other clients, at the expense of other things you can invest your time on, because your time at the end of the day, it's time you spend on this client that you don't spend on the business. So it's kind of loss of money as well in a way. So it's not all about what is written on your P&L at the end of the month. It's as well what represents a threat to your business. And if a client that will take so much of your time, your energy, and whatever you do, whatever you try hard, however you try hard to manage their expectations, it will not go the way you want them to go, and it will lead to a complaint. Is that an opportunity for the business for the few couple of £100 or 2 to 4 figures you'll get out of it? I'm not sure it is. So it's important to still be able to choose the clients that will not represent a threat to your business, so you can lead the business the way you want it. But most of all, you can still give enough care and attention to those clients that represent an opportunity for your business, and you can spend the time you need to spend on the things you should spend, rather than spending it on a client that at the end of the day, whatever you do will leave you, unfortunately, a bad review. Because let's remember as well one thing, that's human nature. It's much more likely for an happy client to leave a bad review without you having to tell them how to do it, than for very happy clients to do it, even if you show them how to do it through an email, etc., etc. So you need to be very careful with that as a general basis. Because if within a year you've never been selecting your clients, like you said, maybe out of the 100, 150, 40 clients you have throughout the year, there were 4 or 5 that really had a bad impact on your business. And you need to be careful with that. Because in the long term, it can really impact you negatively.
Yeah, and I think that kind of comes back to why does new clients take, if we've got 1-star reviews, what does that say about our business? Actually, is that fair? If we are a 1-star business, actually might just be that none of our good clients have written reviews, which means they're not going to upscale it towards 4 stars or 3, right? It doesn't mean actually we're a 1-star review. It just means our reviews, especially if there's like 4 of them and they're all negative. Okay, but okay, then how do you? And the way I would look at it is, okay, let's say you've got 4 1-star reviews. How do you answer those reviews to prove at least that you're respectful, at least that you're taking that feedback on? But look, sometimes things go wrong, sometimes things aren't what people claim, but it all comes back to what we said earlier, which is about setting the expectations. If I go to a 5-star hotel, for example, I'm expecting a very specific set of things to be there, but I'm also expecting the bill to be 4 times the cost of a 2-star hotel. These are the expectations I have. In the same way, if we're doing something that's more complicated or requires more effort or requires more time, more crew, more etc., then I expect to pay more, because there's no magic money tree, right? Everyone has to get paid and everyone needs to make money to survive in one way or another. Whether you're an employee or whether you work for yourself, a business has to generate income for that job to exist. Therefore, the crux is the same. This is why you should put your customer and your clients at the heart of what you do, whether you're an employee or a client or client base, or you run a business, etc. Because at the end of the day, they the thing that creates the bloodline for you to exist in regards to a business, any business, and for your job to exist if you're an employee. And I think for me, I mean, I was going to ask you about culture, but I think culture is really important, because that's what allows people to feel confident to be able to deal with challenges with clients. Because they don't think, because I think sometimes, oh, what if my manager finds out that there was a mistake? Oh my God, I'm going to lose my job. And then they go into this like, oh, I'm just not going to say anything, right? Oh, I'm just not going to, I'm like, what do I do? So, I mean, what would you advise people who potentially are in that situation, who, from a culture point of view, a culture building point of view, as a business, to say, yes, look, no one wants to have mistakes in their business, but the reality of the world is there's going to be some. It's then about how you deal with that. I mean, what would you suggest to people who either are building businesses, building culture, building or changing their culture, to say, actually, it's okay to make mistakes, and that doesn't result in just instant termination, right? Because I think that especially right now, that'll be the concern, right? Which will cause a potential negative feedback loop for that employee to go, well, I'm just not going to say anything then.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that, talking about culture, the number one threat to a great customer service when you have a team is a blaming culture within a company. There's nothing worse. And I've been working in places with blaming culture. The problem when you have a blaming culture within a company is like a snowball going down a hill that keeps getting bigger and bigger, is that you wouldn't want to be blamed for things you haven't done. So, and you know that if you make a mistake, you will not be having the great consequence out of it. It's not going to be. There's a difference between blaming someone and addressing a mistake to someone. It's not because someone made a mistake that you can just say, oh, that's fine, go along with it, you're going to be all okay. No, it can be addressed, can be solved. The team member needs to be understanding the requirements in order to not reproduce the mistake again. But it doesn't mean that the team member should be afraid of making mistakes, because you're not natural in doing your job. If you're in this type of environment, you're going to be not natural when dealing with clients. You're going to be hiding everything under the carpet. You're going to be not wanting to have the blame on you, so you're going to be naturally putting the blame on someone else that doesn't deserve it either. So it keeps me passing around the ball rather than taking it and say, yes, I'm accountable for that, I've made it. However, objectively, I took all the information in order to not reproduce it again. If you, that's the thing about very strict managers. They think that, let's be honest, they think that they're doing a good job. They're not. On that instance, they're not, because being too strict, it means that you're not going to be flexible with your team. You're not going to be understanding with your team. You're not going to understand that a mistake is not only the result of a team member not performing well. A mistake can be actually a combination of different things. Yes, it can be the team member not performing well, but it can be lack of tools to do the job properly, a lack of proper environment, an atmosphere that is not really like based on team working, a busy situation that lead to the mistake, etc., etc. So it's already unfair from the manager to just blame someone, but it's not because you address something that you have to have a go at your team, because you're not creating the great conditions for your team to deliver good customer service, because they'll be afraid of making mistakes. Like I said, they're going to be frustrated. It's going to be visible when they deal with clients. They're going to be unhappy. An unhappy team is the number one cause of bad customer service delivered by this team. And if you take the example of Four Seasons, which is one of the best hotel company in terms of customer service, they understood that. I worked for 5 years for Four Seasons, and that's a lot of things I inspired myself in what I say today is from this company, because they understand how important it is to take care of your team. And let me tell you, when you made a mistake, it was addressed. You knew you shouldn't be doing it again. You knew you had to learn from it, but it was in a constructive way. It was in a healthy way. You were taking things with objectivity, not with emotions, not with being frustrated, being scared, being feeling shamed about it, etc., etc. You shouldn't be like that. And to just add something to that, when it comes to mistakes visible by the clients, what is very funny is that if you have a culture like that, when a mistake happened that has been spotted by the client, but hasn't been highlighted by the client, most part of the time you'll be like, all right, that's fine. The client didn't notice it. I mean, the client didn't say anything about it, sorry. So that's fine. I shouldn't say anything about it neither. You should say, I know you encountered that. I know you suffered from that. I know we did that and it didn't went the way it should have gone. Please be aware that we took it into consideration and we'll make sure it's not going to be happening again. In the meantime, feel free to let me know if I can help or assist with anything else. Just doing that, you kind of being proactive, you kind of anticipating. You're not waiting for the clients to say it. You know it happened. You know the client saw it. And even if the client didn't say anything, you're the one being proactive in saying, we noticed it, we're sorry, we're going to make sure it's not happening again. Anything else, we're at your disposal, etc., etc. That's how you really create this kind of environment for the clients to be happy. But you cannot do it if you don't have a healthy culture within the company.
I know, yeah. I think just to add that, it's about creating a problem-solving culture instead of a blame culture, as you mentioned, right? Because it's about saying, look, things are going to happen. We can't change what's happened. How do we move this forward, right? And I think sometimes as humans, as a whole, we'll take the path of least resistance, e.g., brush this under the rug, let's not mention it, let's not tell the manager because then I don't have to deal with that really annoying, awkward, challenging conversation, right? Etc. The same is true in personal, right? Sometimes it's actually better to say, hold on, there was a root cause to the problem. Actually having a difficult conversation will move the problem less likely to happen or move our culture forward or our relationship forward, depending. And actually, how do we go about doing that? How do we go about having that difficult conversation, and what are the barriers we're putting in the way of having that difficult? Because a difficult conversation is only perceivably difficult because we say it's going to be difficult. Right? If we say it's going to be treated with respect, and we say it's not going to be a "you're fired if you get this conversation wrong" situation, then why is the conversation hard? It's not because the only reason why it's hard. Why is sales hard? Because you put pressure on making the sale. If you just say, "Hey, look, this is what I offer you. This is how much it costs. Let me know if you want it." There's no pressure. You're just saying, hey, this is what I sell. It's like me on a market stall saying, hey, do you want some apples? Or the classic one, did you want to buy a pen? Well, if I don't want a pen, no. If I don't want apples, no. Right? Like, don't try and sell me something I don't want necessarily, because that's pressure selling. That doesn't necessarily, especially in the culture that we're seeing now and how marketing and etc. is changing. You don't want to do that because actually you just, no, I don't want that. No, I don't. And I'm only going to work with people, or only going to hire people who I trust and build a rapport with and actually see value in what they do. And that takes time, right? And that takes time. In the same way, the reputation a hotel has, the reputation a restaurant has, the reputation a cafe has, the reputation, etc., or me and you have, takes time to build. And it isn't saying we haven't made mistakes. It's not saying that. You and I definitely have made mistakes, 100%. It's how we're judged on how did we handle that mistake? How did we fix the problem for the client? Or did we preemptively, as you say, be proactive? And the same is true about, in general, people ask me a lot of the time and talk about recessions and how to still make money and generate income. You've got to be proactive. You've got to see opportunities. You've got to mention things. You've got to set the seeds. You've got to say, actually, hey, we can help with that. Oh, you've got this problem? Oh, actually, we can help you with that. I mean, do you see, this is, I guess, in some ways an upselling thing in the service industry, but do you see people miss sales opportunities potentially? Because at the end of the day, look, we're both in business to make money, right? Everyone is in business. If you have a job, you're there to increase revenue from your clients or customers, right? That's the reason why you're there. So I think it's valuable in some ways to, I mean, what is the concept of upselling, number one? Because I know it because I worked in retail and etc. But for those who don't know, how would you describe upselling? And then how do you, when is it okay to upsell and when isn't it? I guess is then the question that follows on from that.
I mean, the first thing that people need to understand when it comes to sales, and the thing I would like to say before explaining that, is that first of all, people need to understand that sales is part of the customer journey. Therefore, it's part of customer service. Customer service is not only delivering service when your clients are confirmed clients, which means when they paid until the service is finished or the product is finished to be provided. Your clients is your clients when they are potential clients. You still have the word client in that, or when they are former clients. So sales is definitely part of the customer journey. In fact, more than 70% of the clientele's expectation is being set during the selling process. The reason being is because that's where you're giving all the information to the clients, etc., etc. So that's where they will set an expectation for them to move forward with you, and they will know what to expect, because that's when you want to get those information is when you before you're paying, right? In terms of upselling, I think the first thing that people need to understand is that generally for a person to buy something from a business, or a business to buy something from a business, the first thing you need to really confirm this inquiry is trust. Before competitive prices, before an amazing website, before a very attractive offer, is trust. In order to generate trust, you need to make it about the client. You shouldn't be making it about the business. Those sales pitch when the business arrive and only talks about what they provide, etc., etc., what they do, the benefits that they have, that they bring to their clients, etc., etc. It's good, but if you only talking about that and you're never making it about the client, then they will feel it's a sales pitch. So sale is actually a very funny thing, is that you have to sell without making it sound like it's a sales. What is the best way is to make it about the client. So you bring it in a way where you show to the client you want to help him or her. Oh, listen, I know you have a problem with that. I think the way to bring in solutions to this is to do this, that. Moving forward, I think that even the second step is that I can help you with this, etc., etc. Once you have someone that comes for something and you're like, oh, I feel I can sell this as well, in addition to the main offer they went for, you need to make it about the client saying, by the way, do you know that I also provide that, or we also provide that as a business? This can really be helpful to help you with this, to bring value added to that in terms of how you run your business in that instance. So again, all those examples is all about making it about the client himself or herself, rather than making it about you. Once you make it about the client, they wouldn't be thinking anymore, this person's trying to sell to me. They'll be thinking, oh, actually, that's a good idea. Yeah, I should do that. So they'll be in a process where they're almost talking to a colleague, or they're talking to a friend who's trying to help out. So that's the kind of situation you need to create with your client.
Yeah, it's about being a problem solver more than, hey, I'm trying to sell you something, right? And the thing is, because some people talk to me about this as well, and I think there's different ways of going about doing that, right? It comes back to building trust and relationships with people. That's one approach. The other approach is what's known as cold outreach, right? Where you just say, hey, I've got this deal, do you want it, to someone who potentially is cold. And I think they're important skills, and they definitely both can work. But you need to understand what the base rules are with both, right? Number one, do not mix the streams. So if you're trying to build a relationship with someone and then you offer them a deal too early, you've just ruined it, right? So for me, I have different strategies and different like sets of people or different audiences that I'll go and say, because I'll do cold sales, I'll do cold outreach, I'll do cold calls, etc. They're great. It's a great skill set to have, and it can generate you money quickly. It can. But you need to understand in the context in how it's going to work for you, because what will happen is you've won the lottery in regards to timing, right? I'll give you an example. I ring up 15 businesses and 2 of them say, actually, yes, Colton, we were actually looking at the promotional video, or actually you sounded really compelling, or etc. And that's a really good idea because of where we are in the business. 13 of them are going to say, no, thank you, because I'm bothering them and they don't know who I am. Now, the higher conversion rate is after you built a relationship, and that will become potential more repeat business, right? I'll give you a very quick example. In networking terms, you're looking to build relationships with potential suppliers, potential partners, potential clients, potential, etc. A key word in that sentence: potential. Right? They are not 100% going to work with you necessarily, and it's actually down to the client to choose who they work with. It's not down to you. And this is where you can take all the sales pressure away, because it's not down to you. Some people are not the right fit. Some people, and that might be because you're too expensive. It might be because you do it a specific way. It might be simply the fact that I don't agree the fact you swear. I don't like the fact of your personality. I don't like the fact you wear a hat, etc. There could be 1,000 reasons about why, and it's actually got nothing to do with the product or service. It's just actually, Colin, I just don't like you. Or, Colin, we just don't get on. We're just not going to synergize. It's not going to work. Okay, that's cool. Right? So, fantastic. Please go with someone else, because clearly we're not going to work. But I think sometimes we, especially in a scarcity mindset, or when one was starting out, they look at it and go, oh my God, that client said no to me. Right? And it's something that we briefly discussed before the podcast started, which was about taking the emotional attachment to the sale away. Right? Because once you have that, you're just saying, hey, look, this is the, if you want to have that conversation, you want to be in the position where I can help you. This is the cost. This is what I can help you with. You let me know, right? Let me help you, right? If I'm the best fit for you for that help, then please come to me. But I may not be, right? I mean, how do you have you seen it in a customer service field sometimes that, no matter what we do here, clients gonna be unhappy?
Yeah. I mean, what you're saying about selling is very, very interesting, and I think as well is about understanding that not only you should remove the emotion out of the sale, but you should remove the impatience of the sale, because I mean you said it very, very, very right, very, very truly, is that on some instances a sale takes time to be built, and like you said, if you straight away sell something to someone you're building a relationship with, you may break it. And I think that's the basic understandings of what a lead means, and how you should be dealing with your leads, and where should you see seeing opportunities with your leads. On many instances, people think that if someone says, I'm interested, but not for now, I may be interested in the future, it's kind of a lost lead. It's a lead getting cold. You've lost the opportunity there. But the problem is that if you think this way, then you're kind of only thinking short term. You're not seeing the opportunities in generating business in the long term. At the end of the day, if you want your business to succeed, not only you need to guarantee business now, but you need to guarantee business next month, the month after, etc., etc. So this person telling you they're not interested for now, but for in the future, is a good thing. So yes, of course, statistically, out of 10 telling you that, you may have like 4 or 5 finally never coming back to you, but you still have 4 or 5 that will actually be coming back to you, that will guaranteeing you long-term business. But it's up to you to maintain the relationship with them by finding the right balance between staying in their mind, staying in their head, be visible to their eyes on a daily basis, but not be insisting too much, therefore not showing too much impatience. That's a fine balance, and that's why even social media is a great way of doing that, is that they may keep seeing your post, so you're keeping them warm until they're ready to buy your services. But again, if you see a lead being lost just because the person, the potential client say, I'm not interested now, but I'm interested in several months' time because I want to have either the time or the budget, then you're closing a lot of doors for your business. A lot.
Yeah. And I think it's about also trusting in timing, right? Like trusting in the time, because, look, a month is a long time, right? Especially now, right? Weeks are long times, right? Even like multiple months is a long time, right? A business completely change and completely transform in regards to its needs. If we have a conversation now, but then in 6 months' time we have a conversation, your needs might be completely different. Your budgets might be completely different, right? Everything might be completely different. And in general, right, I think you can be in a position where everything is completely different given time, right? How we feel on a daily basis, what we're stressed about, who's in our life, blah, blah, blah. All these things change within time, right? Certain things are the same, right? We wake up every day, we do it, so on. Also, though, I think it's about, if someone does say that to you, saying, okay, no worries, right, fantastic, you know where I am? Great, cool. Tell you what, why don't we catch up again in a couple of months? Why don't we have a conversation? That's not to have a sale. That's just to say, hey, look, I care about your business. I want to know how you're doing. If we can help, if I can give you some advice, if I can give you some thoughts, if I can give you some ideas, let's have that conversation in a couple of months. Let's see, And at the end of the day, where does most business come from in any form if you're a service based, right? In general, where does it come from? It comes from a conversation, right? That's where it comes from. So when you understand that actually there's money out there every day, you just have to increase the number of conversations you're having. Surely that should be your yardstick then. Just have more conversations, because that increases the likelihood that you're going to get a sale, right? In a world where you need cash flow, right? Or in general, actually, you need to be doing, things that are short-term, build a cash flow. You then need to be doing things that build marketing or build relationships or build etc. to build mid-term or long-term cash flow as well. Because as you say so rightly, we need money now, we need money tomorrow. Everyone's looking to make money, right? But actually, sometimes the timing won't necessarily align with what you like. But this is also the same with cold selling as well, right? When you cold outreach, that's why doing the numbers and doing the reps, so to speak, is a good idea. Because number one, it gives you the practice of doing it, so you can get it wrong a billion times. Also, number two, all you need is to find the right people with the right timing. But they will exist if you do enough. And I think that's the key sometimes. I think, especially when I was starting, we would get disheartened, and this kind of comes back to that emotional attachment thing. We would get disheartened with a no. Something which I did in November was, okay, let's count the no's. My target is 50 no's a week. Okay, cool. It doesn't matter how many. So actually, annoyingly, winning a deal was actually annoying because it wasn't adding to that tally. It wasn't like, yes, I got another no, yes, right? It wasn't adding to that tally. So it was like, actually, and I've now got to send another 20 messages because I haven't got my 50 no's yet. And I think sometimes we focus on just the wins instead of you giving a tangible metric that allows us to be consistent. And that's the key point with content, sales, marketing, networking, etc. It's about being consistency and having that pressure in some ways on the market to say, hey, look, this is what I do and this is why I'm really valuable. I think how have you found clients or etc. find that consistency or find that rhythm when things are slightly harder, when things are in the position where actually, this is a harder reality?
I mean, I think it's you need to understand on a general basis that a lot of things you do in terms of marketing are more related to a marathon rather than a race. And that, sometimes things takes time, and that, you will have months that are less good than others. But those months where you are less busy than other months, you can focus on doing things you may not have the time to do on the busier month. So again, yes, I get less income, but I got more time. And that time is a precious time to keep building my business. So we know already we're not anymore in that reality of having as an employee an income every month. We left this world to the entrepreneurship world. So that's it's kind of like comparing. That's how I always try to put things into perspective. I'm less busy this month. Good, happy with it. Let me do things that I don't have the time to do. I'm instead of having income, I have time. I mean, instead of having as much income as I wanted to have or as I expected to have, I have more time than I expected to have. Good on me. Good on me. So I can do the things that will, again, guaranteeing me business, like you said, tomorrow, after tomorrow, after tomorrow. Because again, I realized the reality of starting a business after my first client. And I will remember that day in 10 years again. And that's an example I really use a lot because it illustrated so well. It was a training course I delivered, and I was really proud, excited to deliver my first training with my business, etc., etc. At the end of the day, I bring my partner to restaurant, we do a nice dinner, etc., etc. Really excited, happy, have a nice bottle of wine, etc., etc. Really enjoying it. Go to bed. The day after, I wake up and realize the reality of being a business owner. I was like, okay, what now? Yeah, I was proud. Yeah, it went well. Yes, the client was happy, but doesn't suffice to run a business to make it working in the long term. And again, that's where, funny enough, customer service may, in terms of selling prospecting, managing expectations, dealing with your leads may be even more important with a non-service business such as a cafe or restaurant or hotel, because those cafes, those restaurants, those hotels, they're always going to have people walking in front. They're always going to have, and we're talking about most part of the time, 2, if very expensive, 3 figures prices. We're not talking about prices of 3 to 4 figures with a service B2B you provide, where you are in the middle of so many other businesses. You don't have like a location where people walk in front and say, oh, you know what, let me go there. No, it doesn't work this way. So that's where managing the expectation, dealing with your leads effectively, using your time effectively in making this long-term impact on your business may even be more important than those businesses with location that provide customer service, such as cafes, hotels, and restaurants. So yeah.
No, absolutely. And I think that, that's why I think people sometimes, a classic thing with marketing that I've seen from many years is the kind of on and off tap, right? Like, oh, we need work. Turn it on, got work, cool, turn it off. And I think the thing that some people, when they do that, they misunderstand or they don't necessarily consider is if you do that, you're constantly going to be on your back foot because you're not filling your pipeline whilst you're also working. Yes, it's hard work. Yes, it takes time. Yes, it takes resources, energy, blah, 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 blah. And it can fall on the back burner. Fine. Okay, this comes down to priorities and how do you use your time and how do you use your money and so on. But I think the crux, the ones that will survive or be easy or find an easier time to survive, are the ones who've been consistent, because of as we said before, consistency is what matters, and the inconsistency is actually going to be the death of a business. The indecision is actually the thing that kills most businesses, from my experience and what I've seen. Is oh yeah, we might do that. Should we gonna wait? Okay, just eating up time. You're just eating up time. Instead of make a decision, making a mistake, realizing it was a mistake, changing and doing it again. Because in the same time, while you've got one business over here that's going, you've got another business over here that's going, we've done it, we made a mistake, let's learn, let's do it again. They're now benefiting from the results of doing it right.
Definitely. The learning curve. You have to go through it. You have to go through it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And I think otherwise it's in the position where you can run into the reality of, as I say, indecision, because you're sat there going, should we, shouldn't we, shouldn't we? And I think sometimes you just have to make the commitment of doing it and then saying, okay, well, if it didn't go wrong, or you are in a not ideal situation, how did you get yourself in that position? How and why are you in this position? And then how can you not do it next time, right? And etc. I mean, that was kind of everything I wanted to discuss today, but at the end of the podcast, I'd like to give the guests an opportunity to throw in a topic, ask me a question, etc. Is there anything you specifically want to ask?
Myself, sorry. No, not really any questions. Thank you very much for the opportunity in doing this podcast. And yeah, the customer journey, sales, customer experience is a very interesting topic, and it's once you get it right, I think it can really get your business sustainable, your business kind of like working well in the long term, and going step by step. I mean, growing step by step, following the good path rather than skipping some steps, burning out something that shouldn't be burned out. And yeah, just getting to the right path so the business succeed, the clients. I mean, like I always say, clients happy, business happy. So yeah.
Absolutely. And for those who want to continue this conversation outside of this piece of content, where's best to reach out? Where's best to have that conversation?
Well, directly on my LinkedIn, Pierre Bauzee, or you can directly get in touch through my website, beyondsatisfaction.co.uk, or LinkedIn, Facebook. I'm on all social media, YouTube channel, Beyond Satisfaction or Pierre Bauzee. You should be able to find me. So yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for coming back, ladies and gents. I hope you took value from that episode. If you did, I'd love to know what you think in the comment section down below. And if you'd like to hear more about how video specifically can help your business in 2023, then I would love to chat to you. I'll leave my booking link in the description down below. So thank you ever so much for coming back once again, and I'll see you very, very soon.